Hello and welcome to History Pod. On the 18th of October 1922, the British Broadcasting Company was established. In the early 1920s, radio set producers in Britain were keen to expand their market. However, at the time, the government only granted occasional experimental radio licenses, which meant that there were large periods when the airwaves were completely silent. This was no use to radio manufacturers themselves, who needed regular broadcasts in order to make their products worthwhile. As more and more requests were submitted for the experimental licenses, the government instead chose to grant a single broadcasting license to a consortium of the UK's leading radio manufacturers. The 6 companies held an equal amount of shares in the new venture, which hired John Reith, later to become a Lord, as its first managing director. The new broadcasting company was jointly funded through a royalty on the sale of radio sets sold by the member producers and a license fee. However, the number of amateur electronics enthusiasts who began building their own sets meant that the income did not produce adequate funds. Consequently, the member companies found themselves running at a loss, and this contributed to their desire to extricate themselves from the arrangement. Having successfully negotiated an exit deal, the company later became the British Broadcasting Corporation when it transferred to government ownership under the Postmaster General, the ministerial position that was responsible for the postal system and telecommunications. By the time the BBC had begun its first experimental television broadcasts in 1932, the company had been publicly funded for 5 years.